Okay, let's look at this question, which I show here. Mr. Lim ran on an exercise machine, this is a treadmill, for 20 minutes. His heart rate and breathing rate were measured. So this is a breathing rate, this is a heart rate. So heart rate is in beats per minute, breathing rate is in breaths per minute. So you can see generally for a healthy individual, we are at rest, right? We should about 60 to 70 beats per minute for heart rate. Okay, at the beginning, so it's 64, and then increase to 140. And the breath from 14 breaths per minute increased to 30 breaths per minute. Okay, based on the information above, so you must use this information on top here. Describe the change in his heart rate as time passes. So this is a giveaway question. So it is very easy. Even I think primary 4 student can answer. So it's very easy. You just state from here. Okay, describe the change. Can you see this is the heart rate? So you should say as the heart rate increases, right, as the time passes, or as time passes, his heart rate increases. Okay, the heart rate increases as time passes, or you can say as the time passes, his heart rate increases. Okay, next is a bit tricky, this one, because usually this question commonly asked, and student got to take note. Describe how oxygen in the environment reaches his leg. So you must start from the environment. So when he breathes in, right, the oxygen enters his lungs, and then the oxygen is absorbed into the blood, become the deoxygenated blood, and then travels to the heart. Okay, the heart is usually the part where student left out, so they will lose half mark. So you must mention the oxygen from the environment, okay, enter his lung through breathing. Okay, I will put it here. Okay, oxygen from the environment will enter his lungs through breathing. Oxygen will be absorbed into the blood in the lungs and travel to the heart, where it is then transported to the legs. So this is a 2-mark question. So how is it being marked? It's marked in this way. So you must say that enter the lungs, okay, through breathing, and then oxygen is absorbed into the blood, or you can say the oxygenated blood. Okay, the heart pumps the blood to his legs. So each one half point. So total is 2 marks. Okay, each one is half a mark to present this answer. Okay, so once again, this is actually an actual prelim paper from a school last year, from Fuhua Primary School. So I do a screenshot and I will send the answer to you all shortly. So meanwhile, this is the answer. Okay, next question. Okay, next question, also commonly tested. Put an asterisk here. This type of question is even more commonly tested, so you take note. Okay, in an experiment, rings of different thickness were cut from the stem of a plant. The rings were removed at position X, this part, and Y. Okay, the plants were watered daily and kept in the dark, this part, for 3 days. On the 4th day, leaf A and B were partly covered with black paper on both sides of the leaves. So they covered the top and bottom with black paper. Oh, black paper prevents light from entering. So number 1, state the energy conversion that has taken place in the leaf exposed to the sun during the experiment. So the first one is very easy, right? So this is a light energy, and it's stored in leaves. So we know that during photosynthesis, the plant make food. So it's called chemical potential energy. Or if you can write potential energy, you also get a marks. Okay, chemical potential energy. Okay, why I want you to take note is this part. This part. Okay, you must understand that this one, why, right? Only the food carrying tubes were removed. But this one, they have a water carrying. So you put an asterisk here. Okay, why I put it at this point is that the examiner is testing candidates, testing student. If you know that without water, the plant cannot make food. So water is a necessary ingredient for the process of photosynthesis. So if you understood that, right, immediately you will know that this leaf, leaf A, because they cut both, right, so the water cannot gain access to the leaf A. So leaf A cannot make food. No matter how much sunlight you shine on it, right, it can't make food. Okay, so this will affect your answer for part B here. Using a pencil, shade the parts of leaf A and B that would turn the iodine solution dark blue. Okay, turn iodine solution dark blue means that starch is present, correct? So you can put here, if it turn dark blue means starch is present. Okay, where does this starch come from? The starch comes from the food made by the leaves. Okay, so immediately you will know that you no need to draw anything in leaf A. So leave it blank. Then leaf B, because this part, right, is position, is the black paper. So only you shade this part and shade this part. Okay, so you're supposed to shade this with pencil, okay, this part. So you do it carefully because due to the time constraint, I just roughly show it to you. Okay, then you need to explain the answer. Why? Explain your answer for leaf B. Okay, if you notice here, the examiner is trying to help the student. They didn't say explain your answer, they say explain your answer for leaf B. So if you are more alert, you will know that quite likely maybe the answer is something to do with leaf B. That's why leaf A, you don't need to shade anything. Because some students, they shade both. So this one, they won't get the marks. Okay, so you notice here the examiner is trying to help the candidate. Explain the answer for leaf B. So this one, let me edit the answer slightly to make it more complete. Okay, so for this question, okay, you say that the shaded part received water and sunlight, so it made food. The excess food made was converted to starch and stored in the leaf. Okay, then you add in one more statement. You say that water is needed for photosynthesis. Therefore, okay, no wait. Water is needed for photosynthesis. Okay, this part. So we add in here. Okay, water is needed for photosynthesis. Control C. And I send the answer to all of you this part. Water is needed for photosynthesis. Okay, this part. So this is an important question. Do take note of this. Okay, this part. Okay, you can shade this part. Let's continue with the next question. Okay, question 33. Okay, question 33 is testing your understanding on the topic of light, which is a P4 topic. So for students who are in primary 6 and primary 4, because you learn this in P4, right, light. So those topics you learn either in primary 3 or primary 4 will also be tested in your PSLE. So do take note of this. Okay, so Sue conducted an experiment using the setup as shown. She shone the torch onto material P. So you highlight this part. This is material P, which was hung on the wall and recorded the readings captured by the light sensor. She then repeated the experiment using Q, R, and S. The results are shown below. So they take two readings and then take the average. Okay, take the average. So this is the amount of units detected by the light sensor. So actually what you can do is when you see such question, you try to annotate. You take a ruler, right? So this one, they fire a beam here, right? Okay, so it hit here, right? And then the light sensor is here. So that means the light get reflected. The scientific is reflected. Because I noticed some students, they use the word bounced off. Okay, try to use a proper scientific word, reflected. Okay, so why was the light sensor able to detect light from the torch, even though the torch was placed behind it? You see that this is a torch, right? So if you have drawn or annotated this, right, you will get this answer very easily, because you know that it's due to the reflection of the material. So you just answered the materials reflected light from the torch to the light sensor. Okay, so this part, let me put it here, text. Okay, the materials reflected light to the light sensor. Okay, okay. Okay, next. Okay, annotate this part also. Okay, they say based on the result of the experiment. They're saying based on this thing here, this is the result of the experiment. Which material should be used to make a night cycling jacket that enables drivers to see the cyclists clearly at night? So you notice if you go night cycling, right, you should wear something that is bright, highly reflective, so that you become more visible to the drivers. Otherwise, the drivers may not see you and may cause accident. So you should select the material that is able to reflect light most. So if you understood this right, you look at the light sensor. So which one detect the highest reading? So you single out this one, and then you correspond to this material. So it's material R. Okay, then you give the reason, because they say give a reason for your answer. Okay, I tell you what happened. Because some students, they left out the last part of this answer, they will lose half a mark. So this is what you should do. Let me put it here. Let me clean off the line first, because this line is obstructing. Let me clean off this line first. Okay, the line is actually for you to write the answer. But now I want to show the text there. I block off the line. Okay, so you select material R. Okay, because R reflect the most light, so drivers will be able to see the cyclist most clearly, since the light from the headlights will be reflected into the driver's eyes best. The best, okay, can. Okay, some student, if they just wrote R will reflect the most light, okay, they won't get the answer, because you must mention the application part, because the driver will be able to see the cyclist most clearly. So you take note. So this one, you must connect the observation to the real life application. Okay, what's the real life application? The real life application is this part. By having the reflective material, right, the drivers will be able to see the cyclist most clearly. Okay, you must use the correct adjective, most clearly. Okay, this word, most. Because in this question, there are 4. So even 3 and above, right, even 3 you must use the word most. Okay, because this is a superlative. So use the correct word, most clearly. Okay. Okay, this type of question, you also take note. Usually they ask you, and then some students have problem answering such question. Why should the experiment be conducted in a dark room? Okay, that means this experiment, why must it done in a dark room? Because I don't want the light sensor to pick up the light from other light source. I only want the light sensor to pick up the light from the torch. Okay, so in answering this question, you should say that to ensure that the light detected by the light sensor only come from the torch and not any other sources. Okay, so for this question, let me block off the line first. Okay, so you should answer this way. To ensure, this ensures the light detected by the light sensor only comes from a torch and not any other light source or any other sources. Okay, so for this question I sent to you, and then just now the previous one as well. Okay, take some time to understand this question. Okay, let's continue the next part. Okay, Sue noticed that material Q was used on the inner surface. So now you highlight this part. Material Q is used the inner surface. So look at material Q, right? Q is this one. Okay, notice Q, the reading is the lowest, right? It's 37, this part. So you take note, Q is 37. Okay, this part. So now they ask you another question. If Sue choose material Q, which has such a low reading, right? That means material Q reflect light least, right? Now you understand, right? So they ask you if, okay, based on the result again, this part you underline, explain why Q is not a suitable material to be used. Okay, notice this part, right? If you observe, even those lights in your classroom, or maybe in your house, right? There's a layer of reflective material behind the lamp or behind the bulb. Okay, the reason because when the lamp or the bulb is being switched on, the reflective material actually reflects more light in that direction. Okay, so because in this example here, this is the lowest reflective, so that's why it's not suitable, because when she study, right, having her study, right, she want to be able to see clearly, so she should use the highest one. So the reason here is very simple. You say material Q reflect the least light. Okay, so I put it here, this part. I put next to it. Okay, Q reflect the least light, so the least amount of light from the bulb will be reflected to the desk, making it difficult to study. Okay, because you want to use it at a study lamp. Okay, the Zoom lesson ends at 6:05. Okay, Brandon, thank you very much. Okay, this part. Okay, I have sent the answer to you already, so you'll take note. Okay, this part, okay, part A and part B you're finished, right? Okay, this one has go through a little bit this question. Okay, I will review this question shortly because this question is connected together. Okay. So once again, you revisit this question. This is experimental setup. So 1 mark is to test your understanding of this material reflects light, and then behind, based on the result, 1, 1, 1, 1. So total is 3 marks here plus 1, 4. This is a 4-mark question. Okay. Next question, 34. Okay, 2 identical balloons, X and Y, were inflated with equal amount of air and tied to the end of the lever in diagram 1. Diagram X was then pierced with a needle and the balance tilted to one side as shown. So this question is testing you this one, very obvious. What is matter, right? Actually, this answer is very simple. If you memorize it, This one is asking your definition. What is a matter? So if you notice in P4, right, you should have learned this. Matter is anything, okay, is anything that has mass. Maybe I change to anything, not everything. Is anything that has mass and occupies space. Okay, yeah, correct. Syrah. Okay, matter, it can be in solid, liquid, or gaseous state. Okay, I would also like to remind you what are some of the non-matter. Non-matter energy is non-matter, like shadow is not a matter. Okay, heat energy, sound energy, all these are non-matter because they don't have mass and then they don't occupy space. Okay, what can be concluded from this experiment? Very easy. Air has mass. Because when you burst the balloon, right, the side the air escape, so it becomes lighter. Okay, air has mass. Okay, if you look at this experimental setup, this instrument here is called a beam balance, right? This one. So beam balance actually is used to compare masses or measure masses. Okay. So you should say air has mass. If you put air has weight, you'll get it wrong. Okay, because this instrument is to compare different masses. Or it's a beam balance. Okay, next. Okay, vacuum packing. I believe some of our parents have done this before, as you maybe pack a lot of things for overseas trip to save space, right? So they use maybe a suction or vacuum, not vacuum, is it vacuum? Yeah, vacuum cleaner, right? You suck out the air in this specially bought vacuum bag. Okay, so Denzel packed 2 jackets in a vacuum bag as shown, diagram 3. He also packed 2 identical jackets in a similar vacuum bag as shown in diagram 4. Okay, in diagram 3, in diagram 4 has less mass, so you underline this one. Compared to diagram 3. That means both also contain 2 jackets. But here, the air inside is being sucked out. So that air has mass, you notice here, right? So this question is making use of your previous answer here, your previous understanding to help you. So they say give a reason why there's a difference in mass of the bag in jacket 3, in diagram 3 and 4. So you should say that there is air in the vacuum bag in diagram 3, but in diagram 4 there's no air, and air has mass. Okay, so this one, you think of this type of question. Okay, later I also like to explain to you why some students they didn't answer this question correctly. Okay, so because they didn't differentiate, they say in one of the bag, so which one? Okay, so you must be very clear by giving such answer. There is air in the vacuum bag along with the jacket in diagram 3. Oh, this one, diagram 3. Diagram 3 has air, right? Okay, diagram 3 has air. This one has no air. Okay, but in diagram 4, there's no air in the vacuum bag. So previously you learned in the previous question here, air has mass, right? So you say air has mass. So the bag of jackets in diagram 3 is heavier than the bag of jacket in diagram 4. So comparison must be made, this one. Okay, comparison must be made. Okay, next. Denzel want to pack these jackets in a small luggage bag. What is advantage of packing his jacket in a vacuum bag as shown in diagram 4? So this one I really notice, right? They use up less space, right? Can you see? Diagram 3, this one has greater volume compared to this one. Okay, so you should say that the bag of jackets take up less space and are lighter because air has mass, so number 1, it take up less space, and here it has mass. Okay, because they say what is the advantage. Okay, so this one, let me blank out this line, and you answer. This is a real life application questions. So next time if you go for a trip, you can try this. Okay, but you must buy those special vacuum bag. Okay, usually they are quite big, so that you can put in your clothing. Okay, so the back of jackets in diagram 4 takes up less space. Okay, maybe I put the back of jacket in diagram 4. In diagram 4 takes up less space and are lighter. It will take up less space in the back, so there'll be more space for other things to be packed. Okay, the break time is normally is what time? 1 hour into my teaching. Break time after. Okay, we start at 4:30. Okay, another 5 minutes we take a break, or maybe we can take a break now because this is part 2. Okay, so you take note of this. I will screenshot this and then we'll take a break soon.